Welcome to the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Welcome to ITSP Magazine. You're listening to a new The Hacker Factory podcast with hacker maker Phillip Wylie. You're about to discover what the role of a professional hacker entails, the different specializations it holds, and what it takes to learn and become one. Enjoy the conversation as Phillip and guests unveil the secrets of professional hacking, a mysterious, intriguing, and often misunderstood occupation. Knowledge is power, now more than ever.
BugCrowd's award-winning platform combines actionable contextual intelligence with the skill and experience of the world's most elite hackers to help leading organizations identify and fix vulnerabilities, protect customers, and make the digitally connected world a safer place. Learn more at bugcrowd.com.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hacker Factory podcast. Each episode I have an interesting guest sharing how they got into the industry, so hopefully it will help you on your journey. And today I'm really excited to have my friend Phillip McMurtrey on the show. Thanks for joining, Phillip.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be on.
Yeah, Phillip and I, we've been connected through InfoSec Twitter and kind of following his content creation on YouTube, and we're connected through a lot of other folks that are content creators and InfoSec professionals. So I was on Caleb's show a while back, so it's great to have Phillip finally on my show.
Yeah, super hyped. Had a great time then. You know, I've been looking forward to meet with you again too.
So how's your 2022 been going so far?
It's been busy. A lot going on. Just, getting work going. So that's been great. Learning a lot. And then, of course, got the channel going on. So doing a lot there as well. So definitely pushing, starting strong for sure.
Well, that's good. How's the YouTube content creation going?
It's good. It's good. I've been, putting a lot of the new stuff out lately. We had like the Lapsus hack. I guess I should say plural hacks. We had like NVIDIA and Samsung again. A lot to cover there. Some, events going on, world events to cover as it relates to cyber. So it's just so much to track and so much to learn as well. And seeing kind of like the real world effects of kind of these concepts that we pick up in school, and kind of seeing like the real world impact that, the offensive side of hacking really has, and why it's so important to emphasize defense and really try to get as much of that right as possible.
Good stuff. And before we get too far into the show, some of our listeners may not know of you, since, because a lot of people get to know new people to follow and learn about new people on the show. Why don't you introduce yourself and share a little bit about you and your background?
Yeah, for sure. My name is Phillip McMurtrey. I got started in cybersecurity after graduating college back in May 2020. I'm so used to saying last year, but it's 2022 now, so I got to catch up with the calendar. But I've been working on the blue team defense side this whole time, but also kind of learning some of the red team stuff on my own on my free time as well. Went to school for cybersecurity, and so it's kind of been the track that I've been on this whole time to help myself review and kind of, I guess, brush up on some of the concepts and the theory that I felt like I was starting to lose just because of the pace of work. I started my channel StudioSec to kind of go through some of those concepts and really create like a library that I could fall back to. I'm more of like a visual learner and like an auditory learner. So I felt like that was helpful for me, and hopefully it would be helpful for others. And I've kind of really expanded on that. We got to do an interview as well on there. We have like the Cyber Monday show. And I've been able to just meet a ton of, just excellent people like yourself and learn from you guys. And it's been, it's been so humbling and so educational getting to hear about, everyone's experiences, everyone's thoughts on the industry. And then, of course, pairing that with continuing to brush up on some of the theory and the concepts that, there's videos on, and then some of the news. I feel like it's helped me to kind of create or get like a grasp of a more holistic approach on cybersecurity. And hopefully it's helped for others as well. But yeah, so that's been me just kind of booking it since graduating, trying not to forget as much as I can. It's just so much information, but yeah, we're rolling.
So it's been a fast-paced couple of years for you. So that's awesome. So with the content creation, I know it's helping you for education perspective, but career-wise, were you getting any career prospects from doing the content creation? Has that helped you out?
Yeah, 100%. I put out, just circumstances. I needed to start looking for a new job. And so, I kind of put some feelers out, and some people that had been familiar with what I'd been putting on the channel, they definitely, hit me up, and there's some pretty interesting conversations. It was also a topic of conversation with my current job and some of the recruiters there. I can't recommend doing it enough. Like even just writing blogs. I've seen a lot of people, they'll put up blogs and that's led to jobs. Even outside of cybersecurity, my wife, she started a YouTube channel talking about study abroad because that's her passion. She loves to travel. And at the time she was working in like marketing or just doing kind of like business analyst kind of things. And, she was able to make a complete industry shift because people saw her passion through the content creation. And, she doesn't really do YouTube anymore, but it got her a job in her passion industry. So I feel like, kind of creating that content, not only helping to educate people that are a step behind you, but to kind of show people that are looking for people that are passionate about the field. That's a great way to kind of to demonstrate that and to show others that, you really mean it whenever you say that you're passionate about this and that you're very eager to pick up more topics. And also it can show kind of where you're at in your learning journey. I can't recommend it enough.
That's great. And, one of the things about that for people listening is, hiring managers like that you have speaking skills. And so you're doing these videos and content creation, you're demonstrating that. If you're blogging, you're demonstrating communication skills, doing walkthroughs and that stuff can show potential employers, some of your skills and stuff. And that kind of, I guess, in a sense, kind of would speed the process up for them, because otherwise that all has to be done during an interview. And then sometimes you may not get lucky to make an interview. I know a guy from our local community that he had recently graduated college at our DEF CON 2 and 4 meeting here in Dallas. He did a talk on malware and malware analysis, and one of the hiring managers for a large global financial company was in the audience, and he was over an IR team. He saw his talk and asked for his resume, and the guy got hired. So it was basically kind of doing a technical evaluation live in front of this guy without even realizing that he could get a job. But then when you amplify that where it's recording and online, you can share it again, opposed to having to go through and just give your presentation all over again. That's something that can be reused a lot.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
So as far as you getting started in the industry, so what did that look like? So you went to college for cybersecurity. Is that how that worked?
Yep. Yeah, I got started. I'd like to say that I got started a bit before that because, my dad teaches cybersecurity. Dr. Shannon McMurtrey, shout out to him if he's listening to this. But he kind of got me started, I want to say like somewhere around like high school, just interested in some of the topics. And it kind of got that bug in my ear. And I started off at Missouri State doing computer and information systems and got the opportunity to transfer over to Mercy College for cybersecurity. And so I really just kind of kicked it off there. Just kind of ran with it. So it was kind of a mix between doing some of that, getting the Security Plus on my own. I feel like that kind of set up a little, fairly well.
Yeah, that's great to have an influence because, when people are getting into the industry, it's kind of hard to figure out what you need to do. And, that's one of the advantages. I hear a lot of people in the industry put down college, and some people agree with it. But, that's one of the benefits of college, too, is if you don't understand an industry, you've got some kind of guidance to help you along the way, opposed to, self-study can be more difficult since you've got to figure out everything on your own, find good resources and that sort of thing. So that was good. You got started off on the right foot, and I'm sure that saved you a lot of time and prevented time you could have wasted and, going down a lot of rabbit holes to find things that didn't turn out to be so great.
Yeah, definitely. I feel really blessed to have, the parents that I have, and to have, my dad. He definitely, he didn't let me go easy too. I'd ask him a lot of questions, and, he'd reply back with let me Google that for you. So he definitely, pushed me a lot to kind of build that muscle of self-research and stuff like that. But yeah, I can't agree more, having like a mentor and having kind of like somebody to kind of help push you in the right direction. It's even today, it's nice to have, him to just kind of ping ideas off of, and to kind of be like, am I moving in the right direction, or, how am I doing?
Yeah, speaking of the mentoring thing, I know you're involved with a community and stuff. So kind of what are some of the efforts you're doing in community-wise and mentoring, if you could share some of that information with us?
Yeah, I'm still kind of looking to enumerate, some of those opportunities too. I'm with the Republic of Hackers, and that is a huge community. There's some just absolutely excellent people on that server as well. A lot of them, well, I'd say all of them, pretty much more intelligent and wise in this industry than myself. You got, the Raven. We had Tina Shakur on. She's, a longtime vet of the industry. There's just some excellent folks on there, and so I kind of hope with the channel, it's helping to kind of mentor people a step behind me. But at the same time, because I am kind of still fairly new in my career, I'm still kind of trying to build up confidence to in person mentor people a step behind me. But also at the same time, trying to just remember that there's so much that I have to learn. And so paying attention to the people that are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of where I'm at right now, and learning from them as well. There's always going to be things to learn, folks and mentors to find and learn from. So it's kind of a balance that I've been trying to find.
Yeah, sharing information like that and resources with other people in the community is one of the first steps. Before I got into a lot of mentoring in cybersecurity, I was just sharing resources with people that wanted to go through the OSCP exam, sharing things with them, study tips, and that sort of thing was how I kind of got started. So that's a good thing. And one of the things too for people listening is it's never really too soon to mentor or help others out, because the thing is where Caleb's at 2 years into his career, he's had this education, he has this path that was successful for him. So there's things he can share to help others out, because these other people may not have mentors, they may not have family members in the industry. And so be able to do that is a big help. So when people out there, don't ever underestimate, just be able to share resources. If you know a good YouTube channel or some good training, share that with folks. So that's always a good thing to help build this industry, because, where there's a big skill shortage out there and a lack of people, there's a lot of people that want to get in. And sometimes people aren't so patient in giving chances, but it really seems like when you're doing the networking with people, that really seems to help people get their foot in the door where otherwise they may have not gotten started.
Yeah, 1,000%. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just kind of amazing when you really get your networking going, how you really get to the point where you really don't have to depend on recruiters, which is a good thing. Yeah,
and I feel like that's kind of we've talked a little bit about social media, at least with a bunch of people on both ROH and the channel and stuff like that. It's such a valuable resource to network, like you said. That's how we got in contact, and there's I feel like the network has expanded, and even mentoring. Like I've learned a lot from the stuff that you've shared, a lot from Kevin Beaumont. He posts a lot of excellent stuff. A lot of the names are slipping out just because gotta love being on camera for a second. But yeah, there's some excellent folks out there that are very openly, kind of like you said, sharing their thoughts, and so you can kind of learn along the way and build that network at the same time.
So what are your recommended social media platforms?
Yeah, I'm kind of I've primarily stuck to Twitter, and I feel like that is kind of not a good thing, because there's some other there's Reddit, there's LinkedIn, there's Facebook, there's a bunch of other sites, but I feel like I've really gotten a lot of benefit out of Twitter. It's kind of a double-edged sword because you get a lot of like the benefit. A lot of people, it's, and I was kind of talking to my wife about this a little bit, but it's like there's just something about that side that lends itself to like quick and easy thoughts, but then you can like do a thread and dive into things with a little bit more complexity. So you'll see like technical breakdowns of like the Conti leaks, for example, and you'll get some pretty interesting insights. But you'll also get, insights into people's like personalities with like a, quick 240 character tweet. But on the flip side, there's drama, so it's kind of a balance. You gotta curate the timeline for sure.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about Twitter. Compared to Facebook, a lot of times you have to be friends with people. Their privacy settings have to be set a certain way, so it's really hard to discover people like you can on Twitter. Twitter's been a valuable resource to me. InfoSec Twitter. Most of my resources that I get in the red teaming and pen testing arena are from people that I see on Twitter. You have people like Tim Medine from Red Siege. You have the guys from Spectre Ops. A lot of great people out there. And then, for people more into application security and web app pen testing, a lot of good bug bounty resources out there that you can learn from. So I think it's a good resource too. LinkedIn is valuable and you definitely need a LinkedIn. But one of the things as far as me getting information that I can use to learn about some of the latest hacks and that sort of thing, Twitter is kind of my go-to.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Reddit? Because I've seen a lot of people, dive into, a lot of like the Reddit chats, and there's some interesting information there, but I haven't personally dove in. How is it, as a red teamer, getting information?
Yeah, that is one resource I've kind of underutilized, and I go back and forth from time to time using it. Probably more active on it back in 2014, 2015 or so, but I'm not as active. But one of the things I do like is the fact that you don't have that severe character limitation, and it's kind of easier to organize and see things and go back and find things. Whereas, Twitter, you just got that timeline, and going back and finding things can be difficult. If you've got a lot of noise going on, then you can miss a lot of things, because that's one of the things that, like on Follow Fridays, and for people that are listening that is not aware of Follow Fridays on Twitter, it's a way for you to show different accounts that people should follow. And when you do that, it can get outrageous, because myself, I've kind of slowed down recently and been kind of too busy. And then one thing, just some bad experiences with people I've recommended that I wasn't more careful about vetting people, was the fact that it creates a lot of noise. So some people will retweet your tweet, thank you for it. So it makes a lot of noise on there. And some people don't like to be included on Follow Fridays. Usually people have been around the industry longer. They don't really need the follows, and they don't like it, but it just makes it hard. Anything that day is hard to go through. Any comments someone made towards you, any tweets or replies, going back and trying to dig through that and find stuff can be pretty difficult.
Yeah, I feel for, both you and like a bunch of like you said, like the folks that are a bit more established, those notifications, it's probably like, you just mute the app and just call it a day. I feel pretty bad.
Yeah. I don't mind it so much, but for me, it's just going through trying to find stuff and read stuff. I had someone that I know in the industry that I had attended some of their training, met them at the first conference I spoke at in person, and they weren't rude or anything, but they come back one time and sent me a direct message and said, would you please not, or maybe they just responded, would you please not include me, which I understand. But yeah, so it's a good tool. But yeah, when you get there on Fridays, sometimes there's a lot of noise and it's hard to get to the actual information. But one of the things I like too, I have some friends that say, I want to unfollow this person because I want to see their content. So if it's good people and they're following or good information, then you just need to create lists. So that way, if you've got your lists on exploit development, then you can go through and just look at that list and find what you want to. It's a good way to filter. So I think you really need to manage the way you use Twitter instead of, unfollowing and that sort of thing. There's better ways, more effective ways to manage it.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So you had the college background. And you said you had the Sec Plus. So did you feel like certifications are very helpful in InfoSec, and did it seem to help you?
Yeah, this has been an interesting conversation, that I've kind of gotten to witness getting into the field and talking to more people about it. Because I feel like you get to see a lot of, people's thoughts on it, like saying certifications don't matter, certifications matter completely. And then, of course, a lot like in the middle, certainly it probably looks like a bell curve, right? I definitely feel like for me, it was very, very helpful, even though I had the degree. And I don't know, I can't say with 100% confidence that I would have gotten my job in a blue team right out of college if I didn't get the Security Plus. Just rolling with the degree on its own. There's nothing wrong with the degree program that it came from. I thought it was pretty good, but the Security Plus studying for that, if I went with just what I learned in school and I just tried to take the Security Plus, I would have failed, like pretty embarrassingly. And I really had to put my head down and kind of learn a lot of stuff that was, I don't even want to say myths, because again, security is just so broad, and it's so challenging in a college degree to fit everything in and teach it to the level that a lot of people need, and kind of balance both like the theory with the application. And so, the degree's kind of trying to hit some of the application as well. So I guess on certifications, there's certainly some that seem to be noise. I feel like for me, the Security Plus kind of helped not only validate what I learned, but build on it even. And that really, I attribute that and internships, I guess, towards what got me the job. So I personally, I recommend it, at least just starting off and then enumerating further once you're in.
Yeah, one of the things too, the Security Plus, I'm a fan of the CompTIA stuff, because whenever I was teaching at Dallas College, the Pentest Plus came out. The beta was out when I started the class. I used Georgia Weidman's book for the course manual. And then once I saw that, I had there was a train the trainer for the Pentest Plus that went out, and my supervisor shared that with me. And I went through that training and was just really impressed with CompTIA's, training. The fact that they went through a lot of methodology and stuff, and as well as, some courses will just go through strictly based on attacks and really not show you how to put things together. And so I really liked it. And I liked the way some of the other CompTIA content, like, Security Plus, I've kind of just breezed up, looked through some of their content. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe they do cover some things in regards to red teaming and pen testing in their content, maybe not in depth, but they do touch on it.
Yeah, they definitely, my dad, I was talking to my dad about this too, just about the breadth of, we were talking about this in the CISSP, and the way that he described the Sec Plus is it's like a mile wide and like a foot deep, it's broad. It covers just about everything in cybersecurity, but it's fairly dense too with how it covers too. It doesn't, like you said, it doesn't go into, the crazy depth that like the Pentest Plus would for the OffSec side. But yeah, I think that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about the Security Plus was I felt like just coming away from it, I felt like I had a much more holistic, I guess, understanding and familiarity with the industry.
And I think one of the things that I like about your background is I think with having the college education and the certifications, diversifying where you're learning from, because, and one of the things too, that just having that, because sometimes some of the certifications, the education content may be more current than what you're learning in the university or the college level. Even back years ago, because I remember when I was first getting into security, the security degrees out there, at one time, you could really only find like a master's degree. And a lot of it was more assurance based. It really wasn't around, firewalls and, and intrusion detection systems and intrusion prevention. Any of the hands-on kind of stuff is more really geared towards someone from an audit background or risk, IT risk management or something along those lines.
Yeah. It's even with like certifications, kind of balancing, as far as like pace of being updated and kind of adding in new content. Like the Security Plus has evolved already since I took it. I took the 500. It's already switched to 600. So it's added some like cloud stuff and to my understanding, pulled some of the 500 content out. But even at that rate, like stuff moves so fast in this industry. So, even outside of a certification, just learning, and that's where Twitter and YouTube and blogs and all these things come in to kind of help learn on at that kind of pace. It's definitely a pace to keep up with, but it's important for sure.
Yeah, it's something else that we always get asked about too, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this before I forgot about it. But a lot of times people ask in the industry, do I need to be able to code or do I need to be able to script? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't done a lot of coding yet, but I am certainly happy that I'm familiar with it. And I feel like that's, it never hurts to be it certainly doesn't hurt to be familiar with as many things as possible, because those are all tools in your toolbox. So, I feel like that's just kind of where I am with coding. I haven't had to do a ton of it, so that's, probably a good thing for me, but, I'm happy to have the tool, and I definitely recommend folks get the tools as well.
Yeah, that's good. And one of the good things about the industry is, even from a pen testing perspective, you don't have to be able to code fluently or script when you're getting started out. Definitely good things to learn. And one of the guests I had on that really surprised me that they didn't know how to code was Alyssa Knight. And, she's hacking APIs and autonomous vehicles and all sorts of really advanced stuff, but she doesn't know how to code. I'm sure she could learn if she wanted to, but it's just interesting to show that there's so many different ways to do things. We're talking education. You've got both bases covered with the college education as well as certification and self-study. And then some people may be just pure self-study, but it's just kind of one of your pick your own adventure kind of things. People learn, pick a way that's best for them to learn, works for them better. Some people, it's hard for them to commit very much time to go into college or whatever. So that's the beauty of this industry, that you're not really expected to have a master's degree or a 4-year degree necessarily to get in the industry, but it can be helpful. So that's one of the nice things about security.
Yeah, I guess a question for you is, what does it help to know the logic behind coding? So like not necessarily knowing how to code technically, but the logic behind how it works.
Yeah, that helps. And just understanding it enough to be able to like reverse engineer stuff, because, I've been on pen tests before where I found a Java jar file and I reverse engineered it, and it had like credentials for the database to authenticate to the database. So be able to understand that. And it seems like once you learn, because I had went to school at WGU for a while, and they had like a Java course was part of their curriculum. And so this Java and scripting courses, but one of the things I learned about it, I never got really fluent at coding, but I learned enough that if I'm looking at a script or some kind of code, I can kind of figure out what it's doing, and I can modify scripts and that sort of thing. So that's kind of where it's helped me.
Awesome.
So one of the things too, I know you've had a pretty good successful path, but based on what you've done, is there anything you would do different if you had to start over again, knowing what you know now? Would you do anything different in your learning path to get into cybersecurity?
I'm not going to lie. And I feel like I always sound like a broken record to folks whenever I talk about YouTube, but I really feel like it's just, I feel like I should have started that earlier and started building that network a bit earlier, maybe even while I was still in college, just to kind of help solidify some of the stuff I was learning then. And building that network up to kind of, I guess, jumpstart the career maybe a little differently, but gotten into try hack me a bit earlier. No free ads, but try. Yeah. It's so good.
It's a great resource. And actually, I the last summer of my last semester at Dallas College, and actually, if I would have continued to teach, I would have used that as my teaching platform. So yeah, that's great stuff and really good. I like resources where it's hands-on and not just reading, and that's a good one. And I like the way it's a good entry-level learning path, because you get through there and they don't expect you to know all this stuff and throw you in, and you're struggling to figure it out. So that's really a great resource. I like that recommendation.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it gets into like some pretty good depth too. They add stuff all the time. They added like, I think John Hammond actually added like a Log4j room, like very shortly after Log4j became like a discovered thing, like the vulnerability, I guess I should say,
Yeah.
Log4j shell. But yeah, it's a tremendous resource, and it's like the paid tier is pretty free, but even just or it's pretty cheap, but for free, like you get access to a lot. So.
Yeah, and the support it's got from the industry, like you mentioned, John Hammond, and I think Joe Helly's done some stuff on there. Various other people, I think maybe even the Cyber Mentor may have had some of his labs on there at one point or something. But it's got a lot of support from the community, and the people that are in the community are supporting it. Kind of really shows the value of that platform.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're getting down towards the end of the show, and I'm going to open it up to you to share anything that we may have missed that you think could be helpful to anyone trying to get into the industry, or any shout outs that you'd like to give.
Well, I mean, of course, I shouted out my dad earlier, but I always got to shout him out because, I don't think clearly I'm not here without him, but, and then, yeah, it's, honestly, for folks that are still trying to get in, reach out. My DMs are open. There's Republic of Hackers. It's always looking for folks to help mentor and guide, and at any kind of level of education, and just utilize the resources. There are lots of expensive ways to learn this stuff, but there's also lots of open free ways to learn this. So. It's really just it's an equation of time and effort, I think. So it's not easy. So definitely lean on people, but yeah.
Great advice. And for those listening, we'll be sharing Caleb's social media as well as his YouTube and the link to the Republic of Hackers Discord channel, so you can check that out. And I think that's a great resource too, because just knowing some people that are involved with that, and the fact that they kind of merged like another Discord, which is kind of good. Sometimes everyone goes off and does their own thing. Things can get so splintered, but if you come together and work together, you can create a better resource. Because otherwise, if you're on Discord, there's a lot of good Discord channels out there, but flipping back and forth between those, trying to find one. So if you can find one that's active and people are sharing and helping each other, those are definitely ones to join, just like the Republic of Hackers.
Yeah, the multiple room or the multiple Discord servers kind of makes the app chaotic almost. So it's like anxiety inducing opening the app and seeing all the notifications come up immediately. But I mean, yeah, like you said, they passed 1,000 members recently. So it is bustling with activity, and they've got rooms for offense, defense, cloud, networking. I mean, name it. And there's the collective brain power is impressive. So yeah. A lot of free chicken. It's great.
Well, thanks for joining me, Caleb. This is awesome. It's good to talk to you again, and hopefully sometime this year we'll get to talk to each other in person.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you again for having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you on the next episode.
BugCrowd's award-winning platform combines actionable contextual intelligence with the skill and experience of the world's most elite hackers to help leading organizations identify and fix vulnerabilities, protect customers, and make the digitally connected world a safer place. Learn more at bugcrowd.com.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Hacker Factory podcast with Phillip Wylie. If you learned something new and this podcast made you think, then share itspmagazine.com with your friends, family, and colleagues. If you represent a company and wish to associate your brand with our conversations, sponsor one or more of our podcast channels. We hope you will come back for more stories and follow us on our journey. You can always find us at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society.